clear through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me solid through and through, and such eager my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still had me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Disciples of Ed here on the Always Next Year Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rob. I am joined tonight by Shane. How's it going, Shane?
I need hockey. I need sports. I need anything right now, man.
I just need fucking freedom, man. I'm so tired of, aside from work, being locked down in this house. And I'm with you. I need hockey too. So it's a rough go right now. We're relying on video games to fulfill a lot of our
right
sporting needs, which is kind of lame. Man, have you been playing a lot of NHL lately?
Anyone who knows me knows how much I hate video games and how awful I am. When I tell you how much I have fucking played these games, I cannot express it. It's insane. It's the only thing I'm doing because I got that itch, man. But I'm still as shitty as we were the first night you and I played a couple weeks ago.
Are you still yelling at the CPU goalie all the time?
I'm yelling at everything. I just in my franchise, I just traded Brian Elliott because he gave up 6 goals, 5 of which were in the third, and they were all off shitty rebounds. Like I can't do shit about that.
Let me guess, you had a lead going into that third period too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Elliott was trash for me all year, so.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, if you want to follow up on any of our other podcasts we're putting out there, the Always Next Year Podcast Network, we have a lot of Philly shows going up with the PTBNL, the podcast to be named later. You can find them at ANYP Phillies. You can find all of the Always Next Year Podcast shows on the Always Next Year Podcast Network. That is at ANY Podcast on Twitter. You can find us at Disciples of Ed. You can find me at radio_Rob. And Shane, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter. It's at Shane_Mead.
And you can find our shows on Spotify, on Spreaker, on SoundCloud. You can find us on Google Podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and a review. We use that stuff to build our show to what our listeners want to hear. So any rating, any review that we get, any kind of criticisms, critiques, we take it to heart. We try to use that to make the best possible show for you, the listener. So it's all greatly appreciated. So we've been talking a lot lately on our Phillies podcast, the PTBNL, about Andrew's uniform bracket, which has picked up a lot of steam on Twitter. It's been really great to see all the interaction that's gotten there. The last show that I did, we talked about our personal picks for that, and I believe the show that you're going to be doing upcoming this week, you're going to be finishing off that second round of that bracket there. But just kind of building off of that, we want to talk a little bit about NHL uniforms, and I am actually going to put a bracket or a bunch of polls for a bracket up on the Disciples of Ed Twitter in a little bit, but we'll get started here. Shane, what are some of your favorite uniforms in the NHL, and what are some of the ones that you really dislike?
So I went like all time. I didn't look specifically at current uniforms, although that's a conversation I'd definitely be willing to have. I always find the evolution of uniforms, styles, and different things to be really interesting to follow. And I do think that for the most part, the most current NHL uniforms are like really clean looking. I actually really dig most of them. So I have my favorite jersey. It is the Buffalo Sabres away jersey from like the 70s, I want to say, the blue and yellow.
It's kind of similar to the one that they have right now, isn't it?
It's pretty close. It's so sharp looking. I love the, I'm like a big like symmetry type of a guy. Like I hate when you see, like if you see so on this particular jersey anyway, there's 3 yellow bands on the sleeve, and the middle one's like a little bit like more girthy than the other 2. And then those same three bands are present at the bottom of the jersey too, like around the waistline. And it's the same type of thing. And so it just like it all works. And too often you see like the shit that doesn't make sense. Whether you have like a band going around the waistline, but not on the sleeve band, or not around the neckline, and things just like look unfinished. This is like one of the most complete and perfect jerseys I've ever seen.
You mean to tell me that you didn't like that mid-90s New York Islanders, what was it, the Captain Jack jersey?
Yeah, fuck that. That looked
You were not a fan?
terrible. Absolutely not.
With the totally asymmetrical everything, even the names on the back were like kind of wavy and not in a straight line.
Yes, it drives me crazy. Another one that's pretty similar in terms of like perfect symmetry and everything is the current Blues uniform. I think that the way that they use their three colors in this are pretty perfect. Like I think it's actually pretty hard to use black, like a deep royal maroon. I keep saying maroon when I want to say blue, and I'm like, I'm colorblind, but I'm not stupid. But I think a casual observer to the show would now think that I am both. But like a deep
thinking
royal
of
blue.
Patrick Maroon, who played for the Blues last year.
Thanks, man. That actually makes it seem less moronic, but no, I was not in fact thinking of Patrick Maroon. But then they have yellow in there, and it just seems like something that shouldn't work. With it seems like if they were going to be just blue and yellow, it works. If they were going to be just black and that deep royal blue, like okay, that works. But like this is one of those things where, man, this just looks so sharp, and it's another one where symmetrically, it's just satisfying. An example of where this doesn't work is with the random red that's in the Golden Knights. I hate that. I think that they should simplify that a bit. But the current Blues jersey is super sharp looking.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Blues jerseys as well. I'm kind of a fan, just like you are, of the symmetry. And for the same reason, I also kind of do like that Sabres jersey that you were talking about earlier. I would have to say for kind of the same reason, the clean look and the symmetry, that my favorite jersey of all time is one that I actually own. It's the green Hartford Whalers jersey.
I fucking love that jersey.
It's such a beautiful jersey. That's the Kelly, like the whatever, bright green, Kelly green. I don't know what exactly the name for the shade of green is. It's a perfect color of green. And the logo is perfect. The logo is perfectly symmetrical. It goes perfectly with the color of the jersey. And just that color scheme with the white logo, the blue piping, the blue stripe at the bottom of the jersey, and then the green body of the jersey. It's awesome. For me, you can't get a better jersey than that. I think they wore it up until like the mid 90s, and then at the end they switched to like a blue, which still looks good, but not quite as good. But yeah, that's my favorite jersey, is that Hartford Whalers green.
Yeah, you definitely can't go wrong with that. In similar light to that, it's not at all. It's just a similar green and a similar color scheme. I love the Canucks throwbacks with the stick on the chest. It's Canucks, right? Man, I'm going to blank on that, but it's kind of like it's not a deep, like royal blue, that you have
it's a little
in the
bit of a
jerseys
lighter
you meant.
blue.
It's a little bit lighter in that blue, and then it has like that, like kind of earthy green going on, and it's just simple and awesome. It looks like a Nintendo, like it looks like an 8-bit game was created, and they were like, all right, these are the simplest jerseys we can make, but they're going to look cool. And it worked. And I absolutely dig those jerseys.
Yeah, those are some fun jerseys. The Canucks have a very interesting jersey history. They started with those big, like yellow and red V on the black jersey, which was a really unique look. I don't think the NHL has seen anything like that since then. That was probably one of the most outlandish jerseys, and if not just NHL history, probably the entire history of sports. And then they went from that to it was still a black jersey with the I don't really know how to describe the logo. It's kind of like Canucks written in like italics, and they wore that up until the mid '90s. And then in recent years they brought back that jersey that you were talking about, the green with the kind of lightish blue, and then the hockey stick logo. Really interesting jersey history there, and I'm gonna have to agree with you as well on that. That is that's a fun jersey. It's a nice jersey to look at,
and it's another thing that shouldn't make sense color wise. Like, it just shouldn't work. Like, the shade of, like, obviously you can put blue and green together and that works. That is what it is. But like the two shades, like if you put them separately on two different walls of a room, look to your right and saw that, like, I don't know, lighter kind of blue, and then saw that, like, it's almost like lime greenish or whatever. Like, no part of that would say put those together into a uniform, but it works.
Yeah, you look at it, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but it works. I can't explain it.
I guess it's I don't know, just the way the jersey is designed that makes it work. But kudos to them for making two colors that normally would not fit together on that jersey. It is a nice jersey. How do you feel the current Flyers jersey stack up against the rest of the league?
I am a fan of. You had mentioned this actually on the PTBNL. That orange is a color that you enjoy in uniforms, and you find it underutilized. But when you get
by
too
the way,
bright,
I'm waiting to hear your reaction to my Mets take on the next show that you do.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip you for it. I'm not gonna do it on this. But I 100% agree that, like, you cross a line. Like you said, burnt orange, which is it is legitimately my favorite color. Texas Longhorn orange, if you will. That's that perfect kind of shade, and I really wish the Flyers kind of lessen the brightness of that jersey. I think it was
that's the look that they used to have.
It was, but as everything else has kind of adapted and changed, they went with that sharper kind of a tone to that color. But I mean, just in general, like, it's still such a classic uniform by all accounts. Like, it hasn't really changed very much outside of just kind of sharpening some of the lines and brightening some of these colors. It hasn't changed too much. I would still say it's probably top third in the league still.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It's definitely a very nice jersey. If I had to pick, I would go with the old 80s and 90s orange jersey over the current one. I just, for some reason, that's what we were talking about, the burnt orange. That's what they wore back then. And then these newer orange jerseys, they still look very nice, but just the orange is a little bit too bright. If I had to go with one orange jersey over another, I would definitely go with that 80s and 90s with the black piping around the orange. That was a really awesome look. I kind of wish that they would bring that back. But considering the other jerseys, I love the white, and the black alternate is probably the sickest jersey in all of hockey actively right now.
Really?
So I think it is. I'm a big fan of it. I wasn't a fan of the old black jerseys with the orange piping around, but this jersey with the orange on the sleeves and then the black numbers, and then the orange name tape with the black letters on. For some reason, I love that look. I just think it's a really cool look. You said that you're not a fan of it?
I mean, I don't dislike them by any means. I have a jersey. I have a Provorov from that jersey. I just don't find it to be. I mean, like, I'd rather them wear their regular homes than wear that alternate. Personally, I don't know. I felt like there was a look that they could have went with some minor changes to that would have made it. I don't know. It looks weird to me. It doesn't look like the Philadelphia Flyers. Like, you mentioned that you didn't like the previous black jerseys. Like, everything was the same about those jerseys. They just inverted the orange for the black. So you looked at it and you were like, all right, this still makes sense. But, like, nothing really makes sense about this jersey. It's just bizarre.
Well, yeah, it's a different, I guess, style, if you will, of the jersey. It doesn't have the same border around, or the piping around the colors as the past jerseys have. It's a completely different style. It's something that we haven't seen before. So I mean, I guess it's different in that regard, yeah, but I just personally, I don't see how that takes away from the look. I think it's a really sleek looking jersey, and I think I always enjoy being at the games when they're wearing it.
Yeah, like I said, I definitely, by no means do I dislike these jerseys. It just, they don't feel Philadelphia Flyery. Like I don't really have a way to say it. Like they're sharp, they're fine. Obviously I liked it enough to have one. But I was gifted it, to be fair. But to be fair, well played. But yeah, man, I don't know. They're fine. They're certainly not deserving of the praise that you have. Sickest jerseys in the league. I think you're out of your fucking mind.
Well, we'll agree to disagree there. I think they're really awesome looking jerseys. But do you have any jersey that you think is absolutely hands down the worst jersey in the NHL right now?
Right now,
or all time. You can go either one.
Well, all time it's the Canadiens jersey that looks like it's the fucking side of a barber shop. What a fucking dog shit jersey that is. Right now,
I don't think I've seen that one.
Dude, Google it. I don't even know how to describe it. It legitimately just looks like if they're out there skating.
Oh, you know what? I have seen it. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, it looks like the barbershop thing that just spins. I don't know, whatever. But that was a terrible, terrible look. In the early 2000s, I guess it was. I don't know, it was 15, 20 years ago. But it's kind of throwback-ish, but not. Those Devils uniforms that throw the green in there, that is one of the worst looking things I've ever seen in my entire life. I hate
the Christmas tree jerseys.
It is dog shit. Who the hell thought that? If you're going to adopt the green again, then go with the green. Don't fucking just throw a random line in there. Now you look as ridiculous as the Golden Knights with the red gloves. It's just dumb.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that. I was actually at a Flyers-Devils game up in Newark a few years ago where the Devils happened to be wearing those Christmas tree jerseys. And I just remember hearing the 5 Devils fans who were in attendance just raving about these jerseys. Like, oh my God, I'm so happy that they're wearing these jerseys tonight. These jerseys are so sick. I'm like, if by sick you mean literally making people sick, then yeah. I mean, these things are fucking hideous.
They are.
These things are
I'm trying to think. I hate the all red Calgary uniforms too. Those are horrible.
The red's too bright.
They're just so bad. They have potential with that color scheme over there. It's kind of sharp how they do everything, and I don't dislike their it's like a deeper red with a black trim and some yellow lineage with the black
Black Sea.
The Black Sea, but the black pants or whatever. That looks sharp.
About the Iginla era jerseys, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty sick.
Those are fine. But this it just looks like shit. There's Edmonton has an all orange, I guess, too now. That looks like crap.
Same thing. The orange is too bright.
It's just theirs looks like the Nickelodeon orange. It's fuck, man.
That's what I talked about. Look. The other night when I was on PTBNL, we were talking about the Astros jerseys, and that was my point with the Astros. The orange alternates, it's just way too bright. I love the color orange, but you've got to make it a little bit darker.
That one, see, that's less bright and less loud than the Flyers orange. I actually love the Astros current every uniform they wear right now. I love, which is a damn shame because I hate the Astros and I blame them for everything. But it's a sharp looking scheme that they have right now. I'm trying to think of other NHL jerseys right now that that really stand out one way or the other, either really good or really bad. And it's because I said, this is such a weird era of jersey that they're all so clean looking. I'm trying to think of everyone's alternates because that's where some more personality kind of comes out. And
how about for a really bad one? How about those mustard yellow Nashville Predators jerseys they had 10 years ago?
All right. So they're not great, but they're almost so bad that you have to love them. Like, you know how like white girls are with pugs with like scrunched fucking faces that look just hideous animals, or like bear cats. White girls are like, isn't he cute? And you're like, no, it's fucking terrifying looking. But they can't, for whatever reason, look at them and think that's a terrifying looking animal. No, they're like, it's a cute dog. It works for them. I feel like that for the hockey fan is what those mustard jerseys are from Nashville from like 15 years ago, where you look at them, you're like, this is a train wreck. I kind of dig it, and I'm going to buy one. But it's a train wreck. And like, we know it, but we don't like accept it emotionally. I don't know what it is. We're like, why? It's just awful. I can't explain it.
Well, I think a train wreck is a fair way to describe it, and I love that analogy, by the way. So you've got to consider them one of the worst jerseys that the NHL has seen.
Oh, I don't know, man. Those Canadian things are terrible. So is the Tampa Bay went to uniforms that have like bolts written down like diagonally across the chest, but it's like kind of, they're like dark blue. It's, I have to find like a picture. I can't even remember how to describe it. Hold on. I'm going to Google it, but like basically they're, all right, let's see.
I know what you're talking about. They're not very attractive uniforms either, but honestly,
2008.
Yeah, it was sometime around then.
Yeah, it's 2008 to like 2012. But they're like I said, like they have, nothing makes sense. They're terrible. They're this dark blue that don't make sense. And then they have that white line that kind of goes through the middle of the bolt and then like around, but it's like a thin line. And then they have those like thick silver and then white lines on the sleeves. Nothing fucking makes sense about that jersey. It's a terrible look.
I'm going to have to look at more pictures of that because I don't remember it that vividly, but I can remember it kind of vaguely, and I do vaguely remember not being a fan of that jersey, but I'll have to take another look at it. Any other jerseys that really stand out to you as either very good or very bad before we move on?
Trying to think. I feel like there's been a handful of Kings jerseys over the years that blue. The Kings uniforms now are like so simple that they're fine. But like, I don't know. I feel like at one time they looked like like freaking Jacksonville Jaguars. Like I can't even remember the years. But they were pretty terrible looking. Every Atlanta Thrashers jersey ever sucked.
Those blue ones were some of the worst alternate jerseys I've ever seen.
Well, here you go. I genuinely can't even remember the blue ones. I'm just talking about all of their standard uniforms that I've seen, through their Roman Czechmanic domination period. It was Roman Czechmanic, right? I'm not blanking on that.
I think it was, yeah. I think it was.
It was either that or Robert Ashe. I can't remember. One of them was like 14-0 against them.
I want to say it was Czechmanic because
I think so too.
Czechmanic was 14-0 against everybody until it came to the playoffs.
Roman Czechmanic also has no hips.
Yeah, he's making saves with his head.
He's ridiculous. He was so much fun for a little bit there, but what a sense.
Short little run. Then teams figured him out, and he wasn't very good anymore. Oh man. Anyway, not much really breaking lately in the NHL. There have been some talks about trying to resume the season and maybe even just going straight to the playoffs up in North Dakota. There's not much regular season left to be played. I think most teams only have about 11 or 12 games left. So I think personally, well, I'll start by asking you, do you think that they have a little bit of regular season before they go to the playoffs, or do you think that they just go to the playoffs based on point percentage?
If they play, they're just going to go right to the playoffs. They're going to walk in with maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks of like training camp, and then like 3 or 4 like second preseason games, just to kind of get the legs going again and make sure that guys can go out there and compete and stay safe. But yeah, I mean, look, would it behoove anyone to sit there and crunch 11 games in and then go for potentially another 40 in playoff hockey?
Absolutely
if it were up to
not.
me, as much as hockey is far and away the best playoffs that you can have, it would behoove the NHL if you went directly to playoffs to save these guys' bodies a bit. I would work your way up to that 7-game series. Make the Stanley Cup the only 7-game series. Make the others 3 games and then 5. And that would be me personally. First round's 3, middle round's 5, championship, Stanley Cup go to 7. But that's at least a way to kind of reduce what you're putting these guys through after, going 110 and then all of a sudden being shut down at the apex of a season and then being told to ramp back up again. Like, it's just not good for anyone. So it's at least one way you could still give us hockey, still look for a cup run, but keep these guys safe.
So you would start with actually just 3 games in the opening round.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't love it, but I would.
I mean, that's certainly an interesting perspective there. I could certainly see that being feasible. And honestly, if they do start it, I wouldn't be surprised if they went that route. So I guess we'll see what happens. The NHL, as I said, has been quiet on this front. They haven't really made any kind of headlines one way or another like the NBA and the MLB have in terms of getting back to play. But if they do, we'll certainly be very interested to see how that works out there. But in the meantime, we can talk about the potential playoff matchups. And going through it right now, I'm trying to sort this out by point percentage here. In the Atlantic Division, the point percentage would have 1, 2, 3 being Boston, Tampa, and Toronto. And then in the Metro, it would be the Capitals, the Flyers, and the Penguins. And then the wild cards being the Carolina Hurricanes, who would play the Capitals in the first round, and the Islanders, who would play the Boston Bruins in the first round. And then, we'll just talk about the Eastern Conference for now, and then we'll get to the Western Conference. So we would have the Bruins and the Islanders. We would have Tampa Bay taking on Toronto, and then we would have the Capitals and the Hurricanes and the Flyers and the Penguins. And even if we're not biased as Flyers fans, I think we can already tell what's going to be the most intriguing series right there. It's going to be Flyers Penguins, hands down.
Anytime they meet up in the playoffs, it honestly doesn't even matter if one team's barely squeaking in and the other team's, a 1 seed. Like, there's something different about that rivalry that brings it out of both cities, brings it out of both teams. It's just good for hockey. And after a layoff, no less, like, holy shit, what a series that would be.
That would be one hell of a way to bring it back. I think you would have to go Flyers Penguins in literally the first game, bringing it back. Have it on a Sunday afternoon, 12 o'clock Eastern time. Even if it's in front of no fans out in North Dakota, just, primetime television right there. Well, maybe not primetime, but 12 o'clock Sunday, Flyers and Penguins with Doc Emmerich on the call. That's how you got to bring it back right there.
I know I would be glued to the TV for it, man. I mean, granted, I'd watch damn near anything right now. I'd watch like grown-ass people play with crazy bones. I don't give a damn. As long as I can bet on it, as long as I can watch and there's a clear definitive winner and loser, I'm in. Except for soccer. That shit still sucks. But yeah, man, it's so weird to sit here and think that, in all likelihood for the next, probably through September, like we're looking at it if sports return, and it's still an if, that there's not going to be fans out there. And like, you look at it and you think like, all right, if the NBA returns and there's no fans, like that's just going to be a fucking annoying mess. Like, you're just going to hear squeak, 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 and it's just going to suck. Like, there's going to be
have to
nothing
pump in
there.
crowd noise for that.
We should pump in crowd noise for everything, honestly. But then you sit there and then you go to hockey, and I'm like, if ever there was a sport that I always wanted to hear what was going on at ice level from the players, it's hockey, or at field ice level, whatever sport you're watching at any time. It would be bizarre, but I kind of wouldn't hate finishing this season without people in the stands and just having a bunch of like ice mics just there. Can you imagine hearing TK just light up the Pittsburgh Penguins again?
The chirp master, Travis Konechny. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
and
that
Kevin
would
Hayes out there too. Shit, let AV drink his martinis on the bench during the game. Who gives a damn? Like at this point, this is such a weird season. Let everything go.
Man, I think the only thing that would be a little bit different is because of the whole coronavirus thing, you wouldn't have Drew wiping boogers on people.
I don't know, man. You might as well.
Man, that'll be quite the thing if he did that. I think Twitter would explode if he did that. But let's take a look at some of these potential first-round matchups here. Let's take a look at that. The Atlantic Division, the top seed, the best team points-wise in the entire NHL, the Boston Bruins, will be taking on the New York Islanders, who started off the season red hot and had been in a free fall for the past, I'd say, month or so, up until, or probably 2 months even, up until the play stopped. But do you think the Islanders have any chance of kind of regaining some momentum and even making it a series against Boston, or is that just going to be Boston dominating for whatever 3 games or whatever it may be?
It's weird, man. I feel like I as a Flyers fan, I would be more concerned with the Islanders. Like I for whatever reason, I'm not fearing Boston the way that I used to. But if you put those two teams up against each other, like I just, there's no amount of logic that sits here and says like the Islanders are going to win any more than 1 game, however long the series may go. So to me, I just think that they got so cold so fast. And I mean, Trotz is great. You know, you're going to see it's just, everything's fucked. I don't know. It's so weird to sit here and talk hockey right now and talk potential playoffs when I haven't seen anybody play in 6 weeks.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of hard to get a gauge on things again when we remember what we saw back when the season was in play, but it's been over a month now and things changed. I mean, players have come back from injury. The Flyers have gotten healthy. Other teams have gotten healthy. And those injuries that were a factor at the time that the sports world stopped, those guys who came back, I mean, that changes a lot of things.
Yeah, it does. But then again, when you're looking at guys who are now available because of lengthier injuries, you know, let's take Nolan Patrick, for example, for the Flyers. Like, he hasn't suited up all year. We haven't had a definitive answer on him. He has no idea when he's coming back. Say all of a sudden he's cleared and he feels healthy enough to go, and we have this burst of a playoff run, and he says, no, I'm good to go. Everyone else had to, you know, ramp it up, hit the apex of the season, cool the hell off out of nowhere, and then try to ramp it back up again. Here's a guy that's been gradually doing everything. Like, he may be in better position to be and have a more successful run than the guys who had to cool off and bring it back up. It's just such a weird dynamic to sit there and look at some of these guys who are coming back from injury. They've been guys who are progressing slowly to come back to be effective for, let's say, if they ordinarily play 18 minutes a night, that they're looking to play a competitive 12 minutes a night. Well, now they may be in better position than the guys who, like I said, that were healthy to end the season. It's just so weird.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thought, and it's something that honestly I didn't even really take into consideration when I was thinking about this. That's certainly something that we would need to pay attention to. So I forget, did you make a prediction for the Islanders and the Bruins, or
it's going to be the Bruins? But it's like I said, it's weird. That's one of those matchups that, like, if the Islanders found a way to beat Boston, I'd be really fucking pissed off about it, because I just think that they give us more fits than Boston. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Well, they are 3-0 against us this year, and we are 2-1 against Boston. So I think matchups are a thing there, and the Islanders match up. For whatever reason, Barry Trotz's coaching style,
he's just smart, man.
Yeah, he's more effective against AV than Cassidy up in Boston is. I don't know. Barry Trotz is such. I mean, he's been around forever. He was coaching the Predators back when they first came into the NHL, whatever, 20, 25 years ago. And he was with them for so long, and they took the Capitals to a cup a few years ago, and now the Islanders. And he's just had such a great track record of success wherever he's been. So I'm with you. I wouldn't want to go up against a Barry Trotz coach team in the playoffs. But with that being said, I'm also with you in that I think Boston takes that series. All right, so the other matchup in the Atlantic Division would be the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have not won a playoff series since 2004, which was the opening round, and then they got knocked out the round after that by Jeremy Roenick. Good memories there. Anyway, who do you have in that series?
All logic says Tampa Bay, but I'm going to go Toronto. I just don't fucking trust Tampa Bay for anything ever. And I know that's weird because no one should ever trust Toronto either.
I was going to say, you trust Toronto too?
No, but Toronto has this, like, Tampa should be good. Like, last year should have never fucking happened with that team. They have so much depth there on both sides of the ice. Goaltending's phenomenal. That should have never fucking happened, but it did. And it keeps happening. I just don't trust that team. Toronto is a team that, like, no one expects to make any noise in the playoffs. They truly are truly their NBA counterpart there. They are the Raptors. Like, they're a good regular season team when they want to be, and when they're, I suppose, when things work out. And then other than that, they're kind of just exist. And that's fucked. But tell me how good for the NHL and how good for hockey it would be to have this team back and competitive in the playoffs.
Oh, it would be excellent. It would be
huge.
Huge
It would be
thing
like
for
the
the
Knicks
NHL.
being good in basketball again. Like, certain things you need those organizations to thrive, and they haven't for so fucking long. In a season that's so weird like this, I think it would be phenomenal for the game to get, hockey headquarters back involved up there in Toronto.
You know what? I would love to see the Maple Leafs advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, because that means if the Flyers advance, the Flyers would have home ice there.
There you go. And we'd win that series. So.
Oh, we absolutely would win that series. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening because I see Tampa Bay taking them out in the first round. I think it will be a fun series. It'll be a good series to watch. It'll go 6, maybe even 7 games. I just think Tampa Bay's their talent up top. I'm with you in that I don't really trust them when it comes to the playoffs, but I just think for the opening round, they're going to be too much for Toronto to handle. Toronto has given up the most goals out of any team in the Eastern Conference, any playoff team in the Eastern Conference. And it kind of reminds me of the 2012 Flyers. If you remember, the 2012 Flyers could score a ton of goals, a fuck ton of goals, but they had Ilya Bryzgalov in net. So they would either win games like 8-6 or they would lose games 8-6. And I see the goaltending being a downfall for Toronto and being the reason why they lose probably a 6 or 7 game series against a high scoring team like Tampa.
Yeah, like I said, I can't logically argue any of the points that you made, but just something about that organization in Tampa, I just don't buy.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's kind of sketchy going on in Tampa. I see them being good enough, or at least trustworthy enough to win one round in these playoffs. All right, so moving on to the Metropolitan Division, and we'll start off with the Washington Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes, a rematch of a series that took place last year with the Hurricanes upsetting the then defending champions in Game 7 in overtime, which is really a fun series to watch.
It's on YouTube or on NHL.com right now. Is one of the games you can watch.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Actually, I might check that one out. That Game 7 was a lot of fun.
That was awesome.
Do you think that Carolina has it in them to pull the upset for a second year in a row?
Absolutely not. Not even a little bit.
Say
again?
I said you see the Capitals being far and away the better team this time around.
There are just like those standalone just anomalies, things that just have no business happening. Last year, that had no business happening. And the Capitals are a team and an organization that overcame their shit, unlike Tampa Bay. So I trust that last year is truly just the anomaly and it's not the norm. I love the Carolina Hurricanes. They're a fun, scrappy team, but they shouldn't be in the same conversation with a team like Washington.
They really shouldn't, but I don't know. I kind of feel like if the two teams matched up in the playoffs, which they would if it were to start like this, I kind of feel like Carolina would be in their head a little bit. I think Washington would be maybe a little bit overhyped, if you will, about trying to avenge that series loss from last year. And I think that Rod Brindamore has a way of, getting his troops rallied to play in big moments and succeed in big moments. And I think that they could take him down for a second year in a row. I would actually go with the Hurricanes I mentioned for the Tampa and Toronto series, it's 6 or 7. Realistically, if the scenario is what you mentioned, it would probably be a 5-game series at most. I think that this series would go the distance between Carolina and Washington, and I think Carolina could win it. So I'm going to go with the Hurricanes in that series.
I would love to be wrong, because they are such a fun and scrappy team, like we said. But you had mentioned, that you said that you think Washington would be, a little overhyped and a little over anxious, sitting there trying to would you use the word avenge, right?
I did, yep.
To avenge last year's defeat. I just, that team is still so poised. Regular season, post, it doesn't really matter. They got over that hump. They won their cup. I think if anything, it was that 2009 Phillies year for them last year, where like they were still good, but like they had some shit that just did not work out last year, and ultimately they didn't overcome those things.
So by that logic, this is then 2010 where they lose even
that's
around
where
earlier.
The analogy ends. 2010 was phenomenal. And then all hell just went loose in the fucking playoffs. But no, I feel like teams go one of two different ways. Teams who are still built to win, I should say, which the Capitals very much so are. So teams that are still built to win, they win their cup in year one, right? Whatever it is. That next year, mostly the same roster, if not even better. They either are those Bulls-esque, Lakers-esque type of dynasties in the making, or they're falling off and they have that off year and then they kind of bring themselves back again. To me, last year's the year where they had no business losing to Carolina, and they did. This year, it's never happening again. It's just not.
All right, so you're going to go with the Capitals. I'm going to disagree there. I will go with the Hurricanes, although it's going to be a toss-up in my end. It really could go either way, but I think Carolina, once again, pulls the upset in the deciding game. So moving on to the final matchup and the most fun matchup in the Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia Flyers against those damn Penguins. Shane, who do you have?
All right. I'm going to take the Flyers. But I would feel so much better about this if none of what is currently going on in the world had happened and we had naturally rolled into a postseason that lined up where our opening matchup would be the Penguins. I feel like we win that in 6 games, maybe 7 games. But I am infinitely more terrified of a team and an organization that just Pittsburgh. I hate Pittsburgh, but they do so much right, man. And they're just always ready to go come postseason. They're always a team, even if they weren't or didn't have the best of regular seasons. that's a team that's just built for the postseason that knows how to flip that switch. And it terrifies me that our first round theoretical matchup in this conversation right now is with a team that I believe could walk in tomorrow, not have preseason, a second preseason, and a second training camp, and they could just sweep the fucking floor with everyone. And I think that they could just win the cup. But with that said, it's a weird fucking year, man. The Eagles had no business winning the Super Bowl the year that they won it. Everything went right for the Philadelphia Phillies in 2008. It's the fucking Flyers' turn, man. Like, it's been so damn long in between cups here. And what weirder season than to get, because people would say there's an asterisk, there's this, that. This is a Philadelphia championship year for sports. Would not shock me in the least if that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say my biggest thing for this series, and I do agree that I think the Flyers would win it, but the thing that concerns me the most is the fact that it wouldn't be played between the Wells Fargo Center and PPG out in Pittsburgh, with the Flyers having that home ice advantage for 4 out of the 7 games in Philadelphia, where they played absolutely excellent, borderline unbeatable hockey at the Wells Fargo Center. I think the fact that it will be played at a neutral site, who knows where, North Dakota's been mentioned, that takes something significant away from the Flyers right there.
That takes something significant away from everybody, though. That's a circumstance that these guys haven't played in how many years? I mean, junior stadiums, fill up 3, 5, 7,000 people, whatever it is. There's people there. Like, this is going to be for the first time in, I don't know, 10 years for some of these guys, 12, 20 years. It's crazy.
It does. It does. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's also not forget that up until this year, the Wells Fargo Center, as you so poetically put, was a fucking library for like 8 years. Like, most of this roster has played in silence with fans there. I'm pretty sure they can handle playing in silence without fans. Like, I think they're okay.
I mean, you have a fair point, but just given the way that they've played at the Wells Fargo this year, as opposed to, well, they've been better on the road lately. Towards the end of what was the regular season, they played better on the road, but they were so significantly better at home in front of the fans. I still think it's going to be a factor. And yes, they did play in front of a fucking library for 8 years. And I know that they have some players on the roster who they brought over from some smaller market teams who played in front of libraries there. But I don't know. I feel like this home ice thing is a big deal. I think the Flyers lose more than the other teams do by not having home ice. With that being said, though, I would still take the Flyers. It would, like 2 or 3 of the other series in the Eastern Conference, go down to a deciding game. I just think Carter Hart is a better goaltender than Matt Murray, and that's going to be the deciding factor for this series.
I love that that's the sentence we're ending on. And when the hell's the last time that we could sit here and say entering the playoffs, but 2, entering the playoffs and confidently saying that our goaltender is better than the guys across the ice? That shit never happens. Time.
It's probably since the Hextall years. I mean,
basically,
you couldn't say it during the Robert Esch days when they went to the conference finals and they were playing against Happy Bullen. You couldn't say it during when Brian Boucher was in net in 2000 and again in 2010. It's been a long ass time. You certainly couldn't say it when Steve Mason was facing off against Henrik Lundqvist.
Nope.
So yeah, it's been a while since we've been able to say that, and it feels pretty damn refreshing to say it.
Definitely does.
So, and we'll just quickly go through the Western Conference here. In the Western Conference, in the Central Division, you would have the St. Louis Blues, who would be taking on, let me make sure I have it right here. The St. Louis Blues, I believe, would be taking on the Winnipeg Jets. You would have the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Dallas Stars. And then in the Pacific Division, you would have the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Nashville Predators. You would have the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames. That'll be a fun series, the Battle of Alberta right there. But real quick, we don't have to go through series by series, but what do you think would be the most fun series to watch out in the Western Conference?
Probably, honestly, St. Louis and Winnipeg. Oh, but this is like me being biased. St. Louis I just find to be way more interesting than I ever anticipated that organization being. And Winnipeg I have a secret soft spot for. And having lost some of the key pieces that they have, the fact that they still put up 80 points in 70 games or whatever they played, 82 points in 70 games, it shouldn't make sense. But I'm intrigued by them, and I also dig their uniforms.
Yeah, they have some pretty nice uniforms. I like that navy blue with the Jets logo. Actually, this is one case where I'm happy that they didn't go back to the uniforms that they used to have, although they couldn't because I believe legally the Coyotes still have the rights to those jerseys. But some pretty sick uniforms there up in Winnipeg, and I agree that would be an intriguing series. It would also be a rematch from a series that happened last year where the Blues took down the Jets in the playoffs.
Yep.
So yeah, that would be a fun series to watch. I can certainly agree with that. I think personally the one that I mentioned would be my favorite would be Calgary and Edmonton. They've had a couple bloodbath games, a lot of fights, some high scoring games as well. Connor McDavid, always such a fun player to watch, even though I don't like him. And yeah, that rivalry.
Why don't you like Connor McDavid?
I don't know, man. I've never been a fan of these big name. I don't know, the guys who are drafted high and like the Crosbys and the McDavids of the world. I've never been a fan of them. Maybe it's because the Flyers never get those guys, but I don't know. I always see them as the villain.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but there are other guys. Like, do you like Eichel?
I do like Eichel, yeah, but
He's
Eichel's
drafted
not
2 overall. Like, is he penalized because he went to Buffalo? Like,
well,
what
he's
about
not
Patrick
glorified.
Laine?
He's not glorified the way that McDavid is.
Well, I mean, there are how many McDavids and Crosbys in the league? Like, I loathe Sidney Crosby, but he's the best player that we're going to watch the entirety of a career in our lifetime. Like, he's insane. He's an asshole, and he's a perfect villain. But I don't think there's anything wrong with McDavid. I mean, I know we're getting off topic here, and I do think this series would be fun. I also think it would be fun, by the way, specifically because neither of these teams should make any noise long term in these potential playoffs, but they're just weird enough that it might work.
Yeah, everybody hyped up Edmonton so much going into the season, and literally they're just 2 players. They're McDavid and Draisaitl.
That's it.
Just literally carrying them on their shoulders the whole way.
That's what it was 3 years ago. Were they in the playoffs? 3 years ago?
Yeah, and they went to the second round and they lost.
Yeah, in Game 7.
And then, yeah, Calgary's got no business being in the playoffs either. Johnny Hockey having a really down year, which is the weirdest part. You figure if Johnny Hockey has a down year that team is completely doomed, but the Western Conference is so bad.
Not a fan of Monahan?
I mean, he's a nice player. He is a nice player, but Johnny Gaudreau is the guy up there. And for him to play as poorly as he has this season and for them to still be in playoff position, that kind of it speaks to the weakness of the Western Conference, but the other guys around him have picked up the game. I will give guys like Monahan credit for that.
Yeah, but definitely a good series, man.
Yeah, it will be fun to watch, and hopefully it all comes to fruition because we're all jonesing for some hockey right now, or sports of any kind, but hockey specifically. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to throw in here?
If you want to make an Eschel team with me, you can do that. Here's the problem. I suck. Rob can attest to that. However, I was just told that there are leagues. Did not know that was a thing. But I'm looking to Pete Rose this shit. I am looking to gamble on us. So if you would like to join an Eashel Hockey League with me, it is at least some sort of sport-ish type of thing. DM me on Twitter. It's again at Shane_Mead, and I will give you my PlayStation handle that I cannot remember at this time. But yeah, that is my final thought. Rob, you're welcome to join too, but we both suck, so I don't really know how good our team would be if we're both on it.
Hey, we should live stream those games though.
That would be a nightmare, but we could.
We should totally live stream and show us losing like 15-2 every single time. I don't know if it'll be that. Maybe like 9-2. Oh man. But I just want to say, I just want to give a couple people a quick shout out here for my final thought. First off, the band that is responsible for intro and outro music, the Jackdaws. They're an excellent Celtic rock band. You can find them at thejackdaws.com. You can find their music on iTunes. You can find them on Spotify. You can find them on SoundCloud. Listen, I've said it before. I'm a big fan of Celtic rock, so I know a thing or two about good Celtic rock bands, and these guys are excellent. I've been listening to them a lot during this quarantine. Really, really good music. Even if you're not a fan of that genre, there's certainly some songs out there that would pique your interest if you gave them a listen. So definitely check them out. Once again, the Jackdaws, you can find them at thejackdaws.com. You can find them on iTunes. You can find them on Spotify. You can find them on SoundCloud. I also want to give a shout out to Just Food. You can find them by phone at 215-794-FOOD. They have a couple locations, one of them in Buckingham Green off of 202 in Buckingham, the other one at Delaware Valley University. I believe the location in Buckingham is still taking orders for pickup right now.
Yes.
They are. Yes, they are still taking orders for pickup. So if you need food, if you need catering, definitely give them a shout. Very, very good food. They're great. A diverse menu, lots of good options. Never once complained about anything on that menu. Their owner, Rob, is a great guy. That is, once again, Just Food. You can find them by phone at 215-794-FOOD. And before I sign off, once again, you can find the Disciples of Ed on Twitter at Disciples of Ed. You can find the Always Next to Your Podcast Network at ANY Podcast. You can find me at radio_Rob. Shane, where can we find you?
Shane_Mead.
And you can find the Disciples of Ed podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Google Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify, Spreaker, SoundCloud. Once again, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating, give us a review. We really do use that stuff to make the podcast the best that it can possibly be. So once again, thank you for listening to this episode of the Disciples of Ed, and we'll be out with another one shortly.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky souls still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.